Yeah. Yo, step into the ring where the stories get raw. Junkyard James spitting truth, no flaw. Beyond the junkyard, the tales collide. Wrestling's wild side, come and take the ride. Chairs fly, ropes snap, legends unfold. Every move, every slam, the drama is gold. From the underground brawls to the title fights, we break it all down under spotlight nights. Beyond the junkyard, where the stories get told. Steel cages, bright lights, the moment so bold. From the past to the future, the mat stays strong. Junkyard James, keep it real all day long. Tune in, strap up, it's about to get wild. Powerbomb the truth, no sugar, no mild. Every heel, every face, every match that burns. The junkyard delivers, now it's your turn. So hit play, no delay, the bell has rung. Beyond the junkyard, where the legends are sung. Junkyard James got the mic in his grip. Wrestling podcast vibes, now let's take the trip.
Wait a second. Christian Cage very nearly had his arm shattered by that cinder block.
Well, Swerve Strickland's going to be upset. I'm sure he put that under there for loose later. No!
This is nuts. This is nuts. And I
banged your mother.
Well, that was not an I quit.
Welcome to another episode of the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. I am the host of the show, Junkyard James, and I am happy to see all of y'all here watching the AEW Double or Nothing 2026 recap show. I promised this last night. What a night of wrestling we had to celebrate Double or Nothing, and I'm gonna get down into my reactions, the good, the bad, the ugly on the show, but also talking about what other people are saying with the show as well, and we'll get in that here in just a moment. But first, we gotta give a big shout out to our partner, and that is W Energy. It's your taste buds' favorite energy drink. W is powered as a powdered energy drink that replaces other inferior caffeine beverages. It contains zero maltodextrin, zero fillers, zero artificial dyes, and none of those so-called proprietary blends that some of those other, big chemical energy drink companies say they have. The star of the show is coffee fruit extract, which helps you focus without any of the jitters or the crash. W Energy, your taste buds' favorite energy. Be better. And W's hooked you guys up. If you want to try W, but maybe don't want to pay full cost, well, at checkout, use the code Beyond the Yard and you can save 10% on your order. And we've made it pretty easy for you. Got a QR code here for you at the top left hand of the screen. It'll be there for the whole show. Go ahead and scan that QR code. Use the code Beyond the Yard. Save 10% on your order. Warning: consult your physician before using this product. If taking any other prescription or over-the-counter medications or supplements, do not use it if pregnant or nursing. Do not use this product if you are at risk or being treated for any medical condition. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. W, your taste buds' favorite energy drink. Be better. All right, everyone, let's break down the show. First, I want to go through. It's one thing to hear my reaction, right? This show's good. This match was good. This match was that. I think to get a conception of how good or how bad a show was, you really do have to go to some of the social media landscape. And so, no joke, this was one of the first shows where I seen a lot of people say, this was my first AEW pay-per-view. I'm never going back to WWE. I saw that countless times throughout the night and even this morning as well. Of this was the first show that I've watched of AEW. Therefore, I'm never going back to AEW again. And so it was such a fun show. And quite honestly, I think my initial reaction was it has to be one of the top 5 AEW pay-per-views of all time. In the history of the company right now. Everything was so well balanced. And we'll get through the big moments that I thought of first, but here in just a moment. But look at the social media reach. Look at the mainstream media appeal that we're seeing with this show. Hey, we got Fox News posting about Tekla winning the AEW Women's Champion, retaining her title. The New York Post is talking about how MJF is back where he belongs. And that Double or Nothing was sensational, and AEW is keeping on humming. Bleacher Report graded the entire show as an A. Gave Okada and Takeshita big props. Said they were the best bell-to-bell performance. We had a lot of good moments in this show. Again, what's the outreach of people on the internet? Well, you look at the top 10 ranked matches of all time. The top 10 matches of all time ranked on cagematch.net. AEW Double or Nothing 2026 ranks 3rd place currently. 9.73 rating, just behind the Hana Kimura Memorial and the Brody Life Memorial. Those shows probably will stay 1 and 2 for quite some time. A 9.73 fan rating for this show. That is how big of a show Double or Nothing 2026 was. One of the greatest shows you will see in AEW history. If you haven't watched it, if you haven't paid for it, you will get a bang for your buck, right? And this is another way how I can tell that this is such a great show, is that the people that hate on AEW are out in numbers this morning on social media, trying to find the smallest of things to nitpick. They're talking about the Vita Coco mascot that showed up during the pre-show and the 10-man match between STP and AJ, QT Marshall, and Mark Briscoe, and all of them. They're complaining about, ironically, advertising, right? Right. The WWE fans, who are 65% of their show is advertisements, are complaining because we had one segment on the pre-show with a dancing mascot, and apparently AEW is scum of the earth. I've had several people just today use expletives and call me names that I'm not going to repeat on the show, because I support AEW when they don't. And it's crazy. It gives really weird energy when an adult, a grown motherfucking adult, cannot have an opinion about a pro wrestling show without using that type of language and being that emotionally disturbed when somebody disagrees with them that they have to block them on social media. I think that's absolutely insane. So let's go through my favorite and my favorite moments, my least favorite moments on the show. This is probably going to be a quick recap. I don't want to break down like every tiny thing, but I think we got to go through the pieces where we can go through them. The show started, and we'll start even with the pre-show, because I thought the pre-show was actually very interesting as well. They start with the Megan Bayne Divine Dominion 5-minute eliminator match with Lena Cross and Viva Van getting an opportunity. And I think the storytelling on this match is absolutely great, because it exposes a flaw in the Divine Dominion, which is, if they're going to run these eliminator matches where you only have to survive 5 minutes with these massive women to get a title opportunity, all you have to do is avoid contact with Megan Bayne and Lena Cross. And now ultimately, Zeta Steele and Viva Van came up 14 seconds short from being able to get a AEW Women's Tag Team title match. They exposed for the next member, the next person to have a 5-minute eliminator match, all you need to do is stay out of the ring. You don't have to fight them. You just got to avoid them. And I think that's pretty interesting storytelling. But it also brings back the return of Anna Jay and Ty Mello. Ty J is back as a tag team. They're coming for gold. And so finally, I think we're finally going to get a story that is an actual story between two women's tag teams. And I'm hoping for the next pay-per-view, we can have the women's tag team titles on the main card, because for the last several months, since Divine Dominion has taken the belts off of Willow and Harley Cameron, they haven't done a whole lot. It's just a lot of these 5-minute eliminator matches. And so I hope for the future of the AEW Women's Tag Team division, bringing an actual tag team together like Tajay, who was really the inaugural tag team in AEW, will do good things for AEW's Women's Tag Team division. We can get an actual storyline with actual stories being told, and an actual focus on putting them on the main card in the future. That was a fun match. Then we get this match that I guess was announced after our Thursday reaction show, because I don't remember it being made, or if it was, we didn't talk about it. But Claudio Castagnoli, Daniel Garcia, and Wheeler Yuta took on Anthony Bowens, Katsuyori Shibata, and Hook, and the Death Riders ended up beating the Ops in a pretty decent tag match, a pretty good trios match. I don't know where this leads for Bowens. I think I don't know what this leads for the Ops. Like what are they doing with the Ops? You know what I mean? I think ever since they dropped the trios belts, it's just kind of been in this weird spot, just trying to fill a certain piece of the show. They're all really talented wrestlers. I think Anthony Bowens is really good in the ring. I don't know what the overarching result is going to be for the Ops. Like, what are they trying to accomplish? Are they trying to get back in the trios game? Or are they just a feeder trio to help other people get over? I don't know what's going on with them right now. I don't know what's going on with Samoa Joe. We'll talk about him here in a moment. But it was a fun match on the pre-show, and obviously Death Riders get the win. And then we get the 10-man tag team match presented by Vita Coco, Boom and Doom, and the Conglomeration against Shane Taylor Promotions. And this was a really fun match. This was the crowd, as much as people hate Big Boom AJ, you know what I mean, saying that he shouldn't be on an AEW show, every time he shows up, he does really well, and the crowd responds to him. And that's all that really matters. And This was a fun match. There was a bit of an injury concern. So there was a spot where the Rizzler and Big Justice spray one of the members of STP in the face with some Vita Coco, and some of it splashed on the top turnbuckle, and QT Marshall was going for a move and apparently slipped on the Vita Coco, and there's an injury concern. He reported today, though, that he's fine, should be fine. Nothing major, I don't believe, though he was helped to the back. So hopefully just a stinger, nothing super serious, and that he'll be back to going good again here shortly. Because I mean, it was just such a fun match, and it really helped kind of ease the fans into the start of the show, because the start of the show, like the show started with the I Quit tag team title match, New York Street Fight, Copeland versus and Cage versus FTR. This was a great match. That's where I got the clip from the beginning, from I Quit match. Christian Cage acting just like Christian Cage does. They just beat the ever living hell out of each other. And I got this prediction wrong because I totally forgot about the stipulation on Thursday that if Cage and Copeland lost, they would no longer be able to tag team together. And the entire reason why I picked FTR was so that they could get a future tag team match down the line. It wouldn't have made sense if FTR would have won. So they gave us that one, and I didn't listen. So Cage and Cope wins. They're they're the new tag team champions. I'm excited to see where this goes, because obviously this is their final run. This was another thing they were, the E-drones, the E-Fed, Saudi cock lovers were trying to get on, was that, oh, we have, 250-year-olds as tag team champions. Yeah, because they can still go. You know what I mean? They're still able to compete at the top of their game. And plus, this is going to be a short run. And where does this go? Obviously, I think everybody sees this as FTR versus the Young Bucks versus Cage and Copeland at All In London. But would it not be fun if they added a fourth team to this, and it be Kofi and Austin Creed? I don't know what they would call them, but in the WWE, they went by the New Day. That would be fun to make it an 8-man ladder match for the tag team titles at Wembley Stadium. Just an overall great match. Really good spots here. Beth Copeland comes out, and she gets beat up on by Cash and Stokely. They put a table on fire. Stokely ends up going through the flaming table. Just a wild string of events there. Spike is reintroduced, and that's ultimately what won the match. Was Spike into the head of Dax Harwood. He says, "I quit," and it'll be interesting to see where FTR goes from here as well. And I think tag team like that. I think the tweet that I posted on our social media page, I was live tweeting on the page, and you can go follow us, Junkyard HQ. The thing that I recall was this was just proper tag team wrestling. Like, WWE tries so hard sometimes to make the tag team wrestling scene seem important, but they just don't know how to put together a tag team feud that feels good, if that makes sense. This was great tag team wrestling. This is how tag team wrestling should have been. We then go, and this was a shocker to me, because this was like my most highly anticipated match of all of the night, and it was Konosuke Takeshita against Kazuchika Okada for the International Championship. And I'm gonna be honest, like I said, it was my most anticipated match. And so I think I put a really high level of expectation on this match. And I don't think it quite hit where I thought it could have hit. I think there were, one, it only went 19 minutes. I felt like they could have gone for just a little bit longer. But ultimately, it was still a really good match. Like, it was still an A- match, and a match that I was hoping for an A+. It was still an A- match. You know what I mean? Like, it was still really good. It told a really good story. And then, of basically Takeshita no longer listening to Don Callis and trying to separate himself from the pack. Takeshita wins the match. We get a returning Kyle Fletcher, who then turns on Takeshita, which means Takeshita is finally a face. We get a face turn, then a heel turn almost within 2 minutes from Kyle Fletcher. And this is going to set up, I think, your Forbidden Door match for the international title, Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita, which should set the fucking roof ablaze. I think it's in Chicago this year, is it not? I can't remember exactly where they're at for Double or Nothing. It should set the world on fire there. Just a good match. It wasn't my favorite match, though. I'll get to my favorite match here in just a moment. We got Athena versus Mina Shirakawa next, and Athena wins. Like I thought she would. I believe I picked Athena to win. And this it just makes sense to me, though. At some point in the match, I just had a thought, and that, and I tweeted this. I said, what if this theory is true and the wild card is Timeless Tony Storm, and the finals would be Mina Shirakawa versus Tony Storm, and we find out that Mina was the one that attacked her, and then like 3 minutes later, Athena wins, and I said, oh, well, that theory's wrong. You know what I mean? So it was a fun match. Athena gets the win. I really think Athena might take it this year. And either go to the finals or win the entire tournament, because she's on quite a roll, and I think they love her in AEW, and it'll be I don't know, it just keeps me intrigued about the women's Owen. I love tournament wrestling because honestly, the women's the field, because it's full of so many non regular AEW wrestlers, the field is so stacked, and it's so unpredictable. Like, you don't know what direction they're going to go, so I can't wait to see where they lead. Moxley and O'Reilly have a really good match for the Continental title with no time limit, though the match was over in under 20 minutes. So I get the stip was the draw, and O'Reilly thought he could beat him, but he needs more than 20 minutes, or he wanted more than 20 minutes. He doesn't want another draw. But Moxley beats him, retains the belt. It was a hard-hitting match. Moxley always puts on a good match. It was probably, and I'll be completely honest, one of the least impactful matches of the night. And so it was just another match. But just another match on this pay-per-view was an A- or B+ match. Like, it was so good, but it was probably one of the worst matches of the night, and it was still a banger. It would have been one of the best matches on any other WWE card, but in a field where there were 6 or 7 really fundamentally great matches, a just above average match makes you the worst match of the night. And so that's what this was. It was still a good match. Ospreay and Samoa Joe. There was some callbacks I saw of Samoa Joe match with AJ Styles from, I believe, Ring of Honor or TNA. I can't quite remember or recall when that match took place, but they were throwing it back to AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe loses to Ospreay. Man, that hidden blade, Ospreay can hit it from just about anywhere, and it actually looks quite painful, quite deadly. We get the Ospreay win. It was a fun match, a good match. It lasted about 14 or so minutes, but it didn't need to go much longer than that. And now Ospreay is set up to fight, I think, Mark Davis or Jack Perry in the second round of the semifinals for Forbidden Door. So it'll be fun to see. Ospreay's obviously in tourney mode. It'll be fun to see the story as they progress him through the next couple of weeks of this tournament. The final Owen Hart Cup match, Swerve Strickland versus Bandito. This was my favorite match. This was my match of the night. And Swerve, I mean, he just has an aura about him that, like, I don't know if anybody else in pro wrestling, maybe MJF. I maybe will put him and MJF in the same category of, like, when he is wrestling, or when you hear his theme music, you are glued to the television, right? You are glued to see what's going on. And Bandito, he has that aura too, but I don't know if it's at the same level as Swerve, in my opinion. But they just beat the living hell out of each other. This was a very fun match, and ultimately, Swerve, he he got the best of Bandito. Wins, he advances. I think he's going to fight Brody King, or I can't remember who he's fighting in the first round, but just an overall good showing. Good showing from Swerve Strickland. The house call. So he was standing on Bandito's neck and did a house call from on top of Bandito's shoulders. Like, that was wild. And some of the 21 play, like, Bandito is one of my favorite wrestlers to watch. So is Swerve. So this was a fun match. I think it's the match of the night. I think it was better than Konosuke Takeshita and Okada. Not by much, but it could be just maybe if I go back and rewatch it a second time, I might see it differently. But just in terms of pacing and action and all of that, I think Swerve and Bandito did a phenomenal job. Best match of the night for me. Tekla comes in. I got this one wrong, and I'm going to eat crow on Thursday for this one. I already know I am. I said Shida was going to win, and I almost had it planned perfectly, right? So Statlander had Tekla dead set in the center of the ring. Statlander about to win the match. Shida comes in with the kendo and beats Statlander with it. What I didn't have planned was that Jamie Hayter would get involved and take out Shida, and that Tekla would retain. But it was still a good match overall. I gotta be honest though, I'm not a fan of these 4 women matches for the titles. You need to pick somebody and have a good feud with Tekla here, and obviously I think Shida and Statlander are going to feud. Maybe they feud for the TBS title. And then again, I don't think Jamie Hayter and Tekla need to have another fight. So who's going to be next in line? Hopefully they introduce a character there. And obviously they will as we get closer to Forbidden Door and the opportunity to fight at All In for the world title. But overall, good match. Tekla retained. No interference. That's what I love about all of these matches. All of them ended pretty clean. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of interference that was illegal that could have ended in a DQ. And yeah, that was fun. And that was great. And I just love it where you just let all the competitors wrestle and let the outcome be the outcome, and let's not have any DQs on a pay-per-view. Stadium Stampede match was the setup to the main event. And this went about 30 minutes, and it was just the most entertaining, fun thing. Like, I love the concepts that AEW comes up with, like Anarchy in the Arena, Stadium Stampede, things of that nature. This was just so fun, right? And for the first 10 or so minutes, most of the action stayed concealed in the ring. There was a rumor that the New York Athletic Commission would not allow bleeding, would not allow fighting within the crowd. And so it was really contained to the ring for the most part. But there were some moments backstage that were just absolutely phenomenal and funny and entertaining. I was laughing and crying, and it was just so good. There was like the moment where Lio Rush comes out to see Bobby Lashley, and I was like, oh, here's a callback. Bobby and Lashley are back together again. And then Toa Leona comes out, and Lio Rush, obviously, and his Blackheart character comes out and like bites his hand, the Toa Leona's hand, and we got that. That was kind of like, oh, that's interesting. There was a food fight in catering with all the extras. There was Tommy Invincible, which is a local New York wrestler who is kind of viral on social media. He gets punched by Mark Davis. We saw in kayfabe land, Mark Davis about get murdered by Jack Perry as he runs through a golf cart on the jungle bus. Which, by the way, I don't know if it was reported by someone in the stadium or someone outside of the stadium. Someone reported a collision where a school bus crashed into a golf cart last night in Queens, New York. That being Jack Perry. There were screenshots on some community app. I think it's called Citizen or whatnot. Just so much fun. And it was hilarious. Ricochet and Chris Jericho had a thing backstage where Jericho was pelting him with tennis balls. Luther is introduced with this huge ass tennis racket that Ricochet ultimately gets to beat up with. And ultimately, Jericho's team wins. And it was so much fun. There was so much action. And it's just, again, the creativity of concepts that AEW does. You have your moment here where you get away from the seriousness of wrestling. This was meant to be pure comedy. But again, this was comedy wrestling done right. Because even, like, yeah, it was comedy, but it wasn't comedy just to be comedy. There was still a story being told. There were still, like, athletic moves being made. There was still a match being put together. It's not like with Danhausen, where the entirety of Danhausen's situation was, how can we make people laugh just to laugh? And they didn't really care too much about the match. They cared about what was going on outside of the match. Everything in this Stadium Stampede had a purpose to the grand scheme of the match. Then we get the main event, MJF versus Darby Allin for the AEW Championship. Obviously, you saw MJF won from the clip from the social media post that I shared, the New York Post article. MJF wins. This was a pretty decent match. It was fun. It was really fun. I really enjoyed it. Darby is loved. The New York crowd, I'll get to them in a minute, but they were great in this match. MJF, again, he was going to get cheers because it's in New York, but he still found a way in his introduction by saying he's not from one of the 5 shitty boroughs, or bullshit boroughs, I think is what he said. I had Justin Roberts say he's from Long Island, so he's better than the boroughs because he's from Long Island. He's still got a way to get a New York crowd to boo him for a minute. Darby Allin got a lot of cheers. And this was fun. And again, there were some creative aspects where MJF, obviously no one is ringside. Darby's trying to dive out of the ring, tope over the ropes, and attack MJF. And MJF throws the cameraman in front of Darby. It might be the first time I saw a cameraman take a bump and kind of play it off. He gets carried to the back. And I hope it wasn't like a legit injury, but I think it was played pretty well. He's still, because the commentary mentioned it over and over again, so I think it was part of the script. And it was still just fun, part of the concept of the match. Darby goes up to the top of the scaffolding at the top of the ramp and plummets down through a table and basically did the Mick Foley Bang Bang stuff because Mick Foley made his debut on the pre-show to AEW. And yeah, overall, like the entire show, it just flowed. There were moments when I'm like, it's over already. Like that match ended really quickly. And I thought, 10 minutes. And it turns out it was like 15 or 20 minutes. And just time went by really fast. Everything flowed. The crowd was great. Overall, top. I can't say it's my most favorite pay-per-view of an AEW's history, because I still think Revolution 2024 that I went to live, Sting's retirement show, just sentimentally is a better show to me. But I think I would put it number 2 best pay-per-view of an AEW's history. It was so good. I may watch a replay later, and then later this week. And if you haven't watched it, I would highly recommend not just watching the clips on YouTube, but like, fuck, I know stuff is expensive, but it's worth your money. Put a little money, pay for it, and watch the video, man. Watch it and watch the show. It's so damn good. And overall, I'll give you some highs and some lows. The highs, the flow of the show. It was match, then match, then match. Again, that's an AEW thing. They don't really, there's not a lot of time to breathe between matches at their pay-per-views. To me, that's a plus. The returns made sense. Fletcher coming back, Beth coming back. At the end of the main event, Kevin Knight comes out and turns heel and beats up Darby Allin on a stretcher. I am so intrigued with this. I don't know if it's the right call at this point, but I'm so intrigued with this. And that's how they ended the pay-per-view. Kevin Knight staring the camera down. And it makes you have to come on and tune in on Wednesday. Why did Kevin Knight turn heel? And so we'll get the answer on Wednesday. So tune in Wednesday on TBS or HBO Max or myaew.com and see why Kevin Knight turned heel on and betrayed Darby Allin. Those were some of the highs. There were a couple lows. I'll be real. The biggest high though was this New York crowd. I think they deserve a bigger show, a bigger pay-per-view, and a bigger arena. And in the media scrum, it is reported that Tony Khan hasn't really ruled out running a show in April against WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia next year. Man, Tony, this would be the perfect time, perfect opportunity to just try at least to get Madison Square Garden for a show in April. Because if you could run Madison Square Garden against WrestleMania, that was WWE's like the first, like, was it the first WrestleMania was in MSG or the third WrestleMania? Like one of, like, that was WWE hub. No one did MSG. No wrestling show did MSG. I think they could do it, and I think they could sell it out, and I think that New York crowd deserves a big show. And whether it's All In tell me if I'm wrong, was not all the very first All In 2018. That was in Chicago, I believe. I think they could run MSG, and I think they could sell it out at this point in their career, in the history. They could sell out MSG. I really think they could, and I just hope MSG would allow a wrestling show to go in MSG out that doesn't carry the WWE name. We'll see if it works. We'll see if Tony Khan can pull some strings, but I think they can make it work. And that New York crowd was just phenomenal, man. That is what a wrestling crowd should sound like. And I feel so frustrated being in the Carolinas, and it's like it's Flair country, and every time we get a show, no one shows up for the fucking thing. You know what I mean? Like we get 15. Like we're lucky if 1,500 people show up at a show in the Carolinas, and they just went you know what I mean? New York is amazing. And I think that's why Tony Khan goes to California a lot, because the California crowds are amazing. The New York crowds are amazing. They deserve a big show. And I hope yeah, they get a bigger pay-per-view sometime down the line, maybe at Madison Square Garden. Now, there were some lows. The biggest of them was the commentary of one of the greatest commentators of all time, Jim Ross. I mean, he's done, man. He's past his prime. He was the commentator. He was a guest commentator at the Kyle O'Reilly John Moxley match, and it's like he didn't even know who Kyle O'Reilly was. He kept calling him this kid, that kid. I was like, come on, Jim. And at one point, was it Taz or Excalibur? I can't quite remember. They seemed a little bit perturbed that, you know, he kept calling him that, and so they were helping him say his name and all of that mess. And then at the end of the match, John Moxley gets the pin, and JR frickin's like, "We got a new champion." What? No, he didn't, Jim. No, he didn't. So Excalibur had to quickly fix that error, and he did it pretty gracefully. But yeah, Jim Ross is past his prime. I love the nostalgia, but I don't know. It's time to hang up the boots, Jim. Time to hang up the microphone. You're cooked, bro. It's time to hang it up. And yeah, I don't know if we have so many other good commentary members like Ian Riccaboni, Caprice Coleman. Taz is here. Brian, you know, I think Brian Danielson could do guest commentary now and again. Don Callis is good on it. I don't know if Jim Ross is absolutely needed. I get the nostalgia factor. I get that he was your first commentator that you signed, but he seems a bit out of it. And I don't know if it's, you know, pay-per-view quality commentary from Jim Ross anymore. That was probably the biggest glitch that I found. Again, I'm not too sure about the booking of Kevin Knight turning heel. I don't know if it was the right moment, but I'm intrigued by it. And then again, I think I just set the bar a little too high on the Takeshita Okada match, and they didn't quite reach it. But it was still a good fun show. I'll give it an A-. It wasn't perfect, but it was about as close to perfect as you can be. And I'm excited for Wednesday. And what I love about this show is there were a lot of WWE fans that I think have started watching Collision and Dynamite weekly, that this was their first pay-per-view that they watched of AEW. And they noticed the difference in pay-per-view quality between AEW and WWE. And I'm not even joking. Like, people I don't even follow somehow showed up on my timeline, and they were like, "Man, this was the first AEW show that I've ever watched. How do I go back to WWE?" Like, imagine you watched Double or Nothing last night, and now tonight you have to turn on Netflix and watch 3 boring hours of television. Like, how? Talk about, you know, going from 100 to 0. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. And that was just my reaction. I won't keep you much longer. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. As always, like and share this video. If you're listening on audio, I'm caught up finally. I got everything back caught up. We'll upload this episode as well. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, give a 5-star review. We're redoing the website, adding some new features and such. So that'll be coming here in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. As always, I'm Junkyard James with the Beyond the Junkyard podcast, Junkyard HQ. As always, we'll see you Thursday for the live stream, and stay saucy, my friends.
This is wrestling without the filter. This is Beyond the Junkyard. This is wrestling without the filter. This is Beyond the Junkyard. Not just the pain, not just the scars. Yeah, this ain't backyard. This is Beyond the Junkyard, where the real ones fight, not